Hey everybody, Jay Winters here for University Lutheran. Have you ever wondered what it was like to be those Emmaus disciples? To be kind of walking down the road and wondering what all of these things meant that had happened recently in Jerusalem? And all of a sudden to be met along the way by someone who seemed to not know what was going on. It's almost like if you met somebody who said, oh, there's a virus outbreak right now? When did that happen? And then as you started talking to that person, you started to realize that they knew a lot about some other stuff, that he was able to tell them about what the Bible meant and about all of the things that were important during that day and how they all pointed to himself. But you see, the crazy thing about that story is that they still didn't recognize who he was, even when he explained who he was to all of them. Instead, what happened was they didn't recognize him until they saw him establish fellowship with them through the breaking of bread. And it's interesting that it wasn't necessarily a thing about the intellect. It wasn't a thing where the two disciples said, oh, well, wasn't that amazing? We knew it was him when he explained the scriptures to it. It wasn't even a thing of understanding him emotionally, because they said our hearts burned within us, but they still didn't get who he was. Instead, it was when they understood that he had established fellowship with them. Now the reading from Luke's Gospel goes like this. On that very day, two of them were going to a village named Emmaus, about 7 miles from Jerusalem, and they were talking with each other about all these things that had happened. While they were talking and discussing together, Jesus himself drew near and went with them, but their eyes were kept from recognizing him. And he said to them, "What is this conversation that you are holding with each other as you walk?" And they stood still, looking sad. Then one of them, named Cleopas, answered him, "Are you the only visitor to Jerusalem who does not know these things that have happened here in these days?" And he said to them, "What things?" And they said to him, "Concerning Jesus of Nazareth, a man who was a prophet, mighty in word and deed, before God and all the people, and how our chief priests and rulers delivered him up to be condemned to death and crucified him. But we had hoped that he was the one to redeem Israel. Yes, and besides all this, it is now the third day since these things have happened. Moreover, some women of our company amazed us. They were at the tomb early in the morning, and when they did not find his body, they came back saying that they had seen a vision of angels who said that he was alive. Some of these who were with us went to the tomb and found it just as the woman had said, but they did not see." And he said to them, "O foolish ones, and slow of heart to believe all that the prophets had spoken, was it not necessary that the Christ should suffer these things and enter into his glory? And beginning with Moses and all the prophets, he interpreted to them in all the scriptures the things concerning himself." So they drew near to the village to which they were going, and he acted as if they were going further. But they strongly urged him, saying, "Stay with us, for it is evening, and the day is now far spent." So he went in to stay with them. When he was at table with them, he took the bread and blessed and broke and gave it to them, and their eyes were opened, and they recognized him, and he vanished from their sight. They said to each other, "Did not our hearts burn within us as he talked to us on the road and opened to us the scriptures?" And they rose that same hour and returned to Jerusalem. And they found the 11 who were with them gathered together, saying, "The Lord has risen indeed and appeared to Simon." Then they told what had happened on the road and how it was known to them in the breaking of the bread. And here's the thing, is that a lot of times we understand this as we know Jesus in a special way because of communion, because of the sacrament of the altar, because of the Lord's Supper. And that's certainly true. But the deeper reality is that we know Jesus because he has established fellowship with us, meaning that he has made that moment in which he says, I am going to be your fellow. I am going to sit down at the table with you. I'm going to break bread. And in that moment that he says that we are worthy of being in his presence, that is the moment that we really understand who he is. Because the only reason that we're worthy of being in his presence is because he died on the cross and because he rose from the tomb. We hope you have a great rest of your week. We'll catch you up again this coming Tuesday. God bless. Bye-bye.